Okay, Shola Rogers in this studio. It's been a long time. Good morning. It's good to have you here.
Good morning, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's dive into it now. Talking about National Sport Festival. You know, when Delta State were churning out all the medals, I mean, winning it, I ended up winning the Sport Festival. And we're like, okay, can the governor actually, it was much.
Keep his promise.
Keep his promise. Well,
163 gold medals is unprecedented in the history of the National Sports Festival. 88 silver medals and 101 bronze medals.
And in all,
that's a big deal.
352 medals.
And that took a lot of us and brought out the calculators based on the promise. And we're like, can the governor fulfill
over 400 million naira that he had to shelve out. And apparently he's a man of his words, and he's done what he promised to do. You know, if you look at how everything played out, Rivers State a distant second, you know, with barely 80-something medals, but 163 gold medals. It's a big deal, man. I don't know what they're doing in Delta, but
whatever it is,
it's working well, right?
It's working well.
And they were not just the only one. I mean, the youth games also, the athletes who went to the youth games, 2018 youth games and all that, were also rewarded with 100,000 for gold medals, 75,000 for silver, and of course, 50,000 for bronze medals. So it's like, I'm looking at it, and I'm also looking at the fact that he also talked about, you know, offering a scholarship to one Precious Okafor to university level. I mean, she competed at the youth games and she lost her mother, so it had to, like, okay, because of that, I mean, I need to take her, you know, take care of her and all that. I'm like, it's not just about the money. Sometimes you have to look at the future of the athletes, especially those young ones who really don't
huge potentials.
Precisely.
And some of those things.
While those things are commendable, it speaks to us and not having a proper system in place for such things.
That's true.
She's obviously a talent that you need to nurture. So what happens to the other people like her who their parents are alive but they still can't afford to send them to school to that level? So we need to look beyond personal glory now and look beyond personal reimbursements and all, and have a system in place that can capture such kids and put them, you know, through school while they excel and
wherever they are,
regardless of who you are and however. Divine Oduduru comes to mind. You know, look at how well he's doing
in the US.
In the US,
athletes of the week almost all the time.
Yeah, so we need to always factor these things in. It's commendable that the governor is doing that. But we need to entrench it in the system so that is standard.
That if you have huge potentials, there's a system that propels you. You don't need to be distracted about how to get funds, how to beg this person, how to do. But there's a system that propels you.
You know, training grants, you know, scholarships and all of that. Because we must remember that sports is important, but education is also very, very important. And they work side by side. So if you do not make it as an athlete, you could actually work in other areas of sports with a little bit of education.
It's all part of grooming.
You know, so we need to allow the system to get back to, and it was like that a couple of years ago. We just need to go back to the basics.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's so precious to come for that. Well, let's hear from the governor. Now, you talk about system. Maybe he feels some of the facilities they put in place might just be one of those that will help them to want to train harder and get more medals for the state and also enrich themselves in making more money.
I wish to assure you that the state government will not relent in its efforts to ensure that our sportsmen and women continue to excel in national and international competitions. Great Delta athletes, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today's event is very special to me because I have the privilege of being able to fulfill my promise to reward, even as we have promised. I therefore wish to reassure our young people, especially those with talents, that the state government will continue to encourage sportsmen and women. Sports has become a vital tool of empowerment and accomplishment, both at the national and international levels. I urge all of you not to relent on your goals, aim at attaining higher standards and glory, both for the state and our nation. Facilities have been made available, and they will continually be to meet the demands of modern training. Whatever the state government is offering you today is not necessarily payment or compensation for winning laurels for your state. Rather, it should be seen as a token of appreciation for your commitment and patriotism. And please, I want everything done in form of checks directly to the athletes. There will be no question of cash or anything. They should receive their checks directly so that we are accountable.
Yeah, I heard from there. These guys have been arguing about all sorts of things, talking about having it consistently. It's not just all about the money. Sometimes we have a system, an institution built, other governors that will come when he's turning, 8 years and okay, and then the second, okay. We don't know what's going to happen.
Just like
I guess, whatever happens and all that, in case he's no longer there should be something that whoever is coming to build on. Would the mountain race come to mind? I'm really pained that
everything has fizzled out. To a large extent, I agree with everything Shola said. Like we say in local parlance, what I always find is level. So if, for these athletes, these boarding stars, there should be a structure that it doesn't matter who is there. And you should go beyond the stage where it looks as if you're relying on somebody's generosity or you're relying on, all of those things. I just hope we'll get to that point where as long as you're talented, as long as you have potentials, you will always get to the top with hard work.
You see,
I think that's the
I don't know if we're still on this matter, but I just want to say a little about it. You see, talent has never been the problem. Yeah. We have talent, Go to any sport you want to mention in the world, we have talent. Mixed martial arts, boxing, athletics, table tennis, and all of that. The problem has always been the system, the structure, that recognizes the talent and takes it from point A to point Z, going through a process. And until we get that, we will not achieve the things we want to achieve. The Olympics is starting in a few months' time. Countries have been in camp for 2 years plus. We're talking about camping and everything. It's good. At least this is the first time that they're actually talking about it early enough. I must give kudos to the Ministry of Sports, at least to start something,
yeah, they're talking about it. They haven't started. So they're going to start in November. We know after the All-African Games. We all know that, right?
But where I am.
Know that it's going to be after
where I'm coming from. Where I'm coming from. Yeah. Nobody was doing it before. They would just wait until X months, maybe 3-4 months.
Throwing money at people.
And everybody's like, we want to go on a training tour. We want to go here.
You're sure that's not what they're going to do this time around?
I hope not.
Because it's all talk.
The fact that they've started talking about it early, and we will always bring it to this table and other tables to talk about so that people understand. Now, that's just one part of it. What I really want to talk about, and which really gets to me every time, is how governance and governments are failing when it comes to sports. If only you understood that sports has the power to take care of health, security, education, economy, and if you merge all of that together, all under sports. We've been seeing a lot of debates. This is political season. People are debating and talking. Do you know nobody's talking about sports?
Policies, no.
Not one person has come out to tell you, even in Lagos State, the incoming governors on both sides of the divide, PDP, APC, whatever party they belong to, they're not really doing anything about sports because they don't understand how important sports is. And it's really sad.
All right.
Yeah, that reminds us, I think one of the parties, one of the governors coming in will be meeting with Swan, right, on the 13th. So we'll see what the questions they're going to put to him, see if it's going to be part of his own policies, right?
I think let's listen to the athletes. Some of them are very grateful to the governor for his gesture and for keeping his promise. So we'll listen to them and come back for more Sports this month.
I'm very happy today being here at the awards reception here in the Stadium.
Is a para-table tennis champion.
And I must say I'm very, very grateful to the Delta State government for this cash award. It's amazing, it's wonderful, and I'm very happy for such an amazing reward.
I never believed I would be able to win such thing, but by the grace of God, I went there and I came out successfully.
We want to call on the coaches.
I return all the glory to the Almighty God.
All right, that's it. I mean, a lot is going on here, but we have to move on. We have to move on. Let's go about Nigeria Professional Football League quickly. A lot of ground to cover. Let's take a look at the results from yesterday, and so we can quickly move on. There's also the CAF Champions League to talk about. Lobi Stars right there in Morocco. They have a job on their hands. But let's see if we can quickly get that out of the way. Matches played, some rescheduled games played yesterday. I'm very sure the results will come up on your screen. While we wait for that, and also the standings as well. But while we wait for that, over the weekend and yesterday, what are the things in the league that caught your attention?
Interesting games have been played, especially yesterday with Akwa's
Aqua
results
United
and everything, you know. Then Gombe doing the business also, the way they went all out and all of that, you see.
What was happening?
But the most interesting part for me was the MFM game. 2 goals down at home, and everybody thought they were going to, you know, throw in the towel, but these guys just kept on going and they got the result. And exciting times ahead for us in the NPFL. I'm happy that we're getting away victories on the regular now. It's looking like, and lately no referee has been backside or bruised.
I think they got the message.
So it's getting better.
Interesting scoreline.
And if you also look at Sunshine versus Katsina, another 2-goal game. Interesting how Sunshine are really doing well this season so far.
Gombe that we've all said might be going there, but I think they had it at 5. You know, putting 5 past Nasarawa.
Maybe because it's a Monday, that's why having high-scoring games. And all we know midweek games, for instance, you see 1-0 goalless and all.
Let's go
maybe
with your
Monday,
logic.
a bright day, and
so
5.
You know what? If that is the key, let's go with your logic and move all the games to Monday.
To Monday, I mean, I love this. I mean, 3 games played, just check the numbers of goals that were scored on the day.
And when you check the log again, it's another story entirely. Ifeanyi Uba on one side, you know, doing very, very well.
Let's start from Group A. You have MFM.
Yeah, of course, MFM.
Followed by Sunshine Stars.
15 points. Even if MFM lose the next game, they will still be ahead, you know, because they have this 4-point lead and all of that, followed by Sunshine, who have been getting the results, even with the reshuffling that's going on in virtually all these teams, you know. Only in Nigeria would you find a team that is buying as much as 12 players in one day and letting go of about 14 or 18 and the rest, you know. And Enyuba, regardless of whatever is happening around them, they are still there in the mix. And,
but quick one, Shola, Enugu Rangers and Lobi Stars, you think if these 2 teams play all their matches, that's not their, some people say that's not their position, and they play all their matches.
But this is what happens every time. It always happens
3 games.
Every Nigerian team on the continent. It's a normal thing. The sad part about it is that if you do not have squad depth, it will affect you, because when they get back now, they're going to play 1 or 2 games midweek, then have to travel again and all of that. So what happens is that you need a very big squad to do stuff like that.
Back to Ifeanyi, you were mentioning they are front runners all the way.
They are actually, although they are tied.
After 8 games, come on.
They are tied on points.
I think MFM is more
with El Kanemi Warriors. They have the same number of points with them. But what's interesting here for me in the Group A and Group B of the NPFL are the teams at the bottom. It looks like the new boys want to go back early, like they're in a rush to go back to where they came from. But Kada Stars, one moment they're like looking like the real deal, then the next moment
they falter.
But their next game, I think, is against another northern team, a top team with pedigree, talking about Kano Pillars. Maybe that's where the game will start.
All right.